From unexplainable blobs to horrifying beasts. Stay tuned to number 1 to find out the most mysterious creatures to ever wash ashore. Number 10. Chilean Blob. In July of 2003, a big chunk of presumably animal tissue was visible on a beach in Chile in Los Muermos. It was quite heavy, as it amounted to around 15 tons of mass. Immediately upon discovery, the Chilean Blob, as it was named, made all the world headlines. It was the front cover story of the day. What was particularly interesting about the Chilean Blob, and what helped to turn it into an overnight media sensation, was the fact that biologists were unable to identify it. Sure, it apparently belonged to an animal, but which animal? Right away, mystery theories began circulating. At first, scientists thought the blob belonged to some kind of giant octopus, but they weren't convinced. However, 1 year later, a DNA analysis proved that the Chilean blob belonged to an already existing animal. It was nothing more than the remains of a sperm whale. The reason why it was so hard to identify it is because the blob was made out of so-called adipose tissue, meaning body fat. In the end, the mystery of the Chilean blob lasted just one summer. Number 9. Bermuda Blob. Let's continue with the blobs while we're at them. But before we do, we definitely have to ask that you subscribe to Zero to Hero for more of this great content. Don't forget to click that little notification bell too, so you are always up to date. And don't forget to like this video. This mass was actually seen on the shore of Bermuda twice. It was 2 different chunks, one in 1988 and the other in 1997. In 1988, a fisherman and a treasure hunter named Teddy Tucker found the first blob. At first glance, what Tucker saw reminded him of a disfigured starfish, or a squid with a few of its tentacles remaining. It was very hard to distinguish what the find was. What was apparent was that the whole thing seemed to be very white and made of fibers. It took 7 more years before a proper analysis was conducted. Unfortunately, contrary to the local opinion that it must be a strange creature from the sea depths, the blob again turned out to be part of a whale and nothing more. The second Bermuda blob was found in January of 1997, and its subsequent analysis proved the same, just a whale. So the moral of the story is, if you find a blob washed ashore, chances are it's just a whale. But don't touch it with your bare hands, cause you never know. Number 8. Gamba Bow. On June 12, 1983, a 15-year-old boy, along with the members of his family, found a strange-looking carcass of an apparent marine animal washed ashore at Bungalow Beach in Gambia. Back in those days, cameras were sparse, and the boy wanted to make sketches of the strange carcass, but only after he measured it. He was very suspicious, because something unusual surrounded his find. The locals referred to the carcass as just a dolphin. The creature indeed resembled a dolphin, but the similarity was only superficial. The boy grew even more suspicious. What happened later on in the story is straight from a movie. The local villagers chopped off the animal's head, bent on making a quick buck, and they sold that head to a tourist. What was left of the carcass was simply buried. After that, there were several attempts to relocate the mysterious carcass, but they all failed, unfortunately. A couple of years later, there was a story in the newspaper about Gamba Bow, and the interest in the strange find was rekindled. To this day, it's not clear what the boy found on the beach. Some claim that it's indeed a dolphin or a type of small-sized whale, but many are still not convinced, and theories range from sea serpents to extinct dinosaurs. Take your pick. Number 7. Trunkoh. In October 1924, a huge chunk of strange mass was found on a beach in South Africa. Just 2 months later, the strange find made the press when it was published in an article called "Fish Like a Polar Bear." It was actually a pretty accurate description, because the mass really resembled a dead polar bear lying on the beach. But wait, there's more. Before it washed ashore, the strange thing had been seen in the sea, with 2 killer whales trying to overpower it, and apparently this fight went on for a few hours. The carcass was lying on a beach in South Africa for almost 2 weeks, but unfortunately, no scientific research was conducted at the time of the strange occurrence. Luckily, 4 photographs were made of the big furry mass, and if you look at it, you'll see that it actually resembles a polar bear. But the chances are slim that it was actually a bear. Scientists claim that all the photographs point to the fact that the carcass was just a decaying body of a whale, maybe even a killer whale, fighting for supremacy with the other 2, which had been seen in the water with it. However, without any solid evidence and the fact that the event happened almost a century ago, we'll just never know. Number 6. Beast of Tenby. Nobody could believe it. What was this? It was simply inexplicable to the average person. On a beach in Wales, there was a carcass of a strange-looking animal. The carcass was completely distorted, which is why no one was able to say what the animal originally looked like. It was weird and eerie. It was soon named the Beast of Tenby a few days after it was discovered by a local stroller. This man took his dog for a walk by the beach when all of a sudden the dog started acting strange, barking and running around in circles. And then the man saw the mysterious carcass. At first glance it appeared to be a small horse, but when he came closer, the thing looked more like a pig, but there was no smell at all. The picture of the dead animal soon went online where it became an instant hit. In the end, experts claimed that the Beast of Tenby was either a disfigured body of a badger or a dog. It's not clear how the debate ended. All in all, the story of the Beast of Tenby prevails. Number 5. The Sakhalin Monster. Okay, so we're entering monster territory. From now on, it's all monsters, so you've been warned. The first monster comes from Russia, where it was found a couple of years ago stranded on the beach of the remote Russian island of Sakhalin. The thing had something resembling a long beak and a tail, but it was completely disfigured. Its bones were sticking out and its limbs were torn apart. It looked like a thing that came straight from a prehistoric movie set, and it was pretty big, the size of 2 grown human beings. When pictures started going viral, people guessed that the creature was in fact a Ganges River dolphin. But there was just one problem. This creature is normally found within the Indian subcontinent, not Russia. And the fur it was covered in caused more commotion because it simply couldn't be explained. Some people were joking that the dolphin had to wear fur because it was very cold in Russia, but this didn't explain the mystery. The whole story ended with animal experts saying that the thing was definitely a dolphin because it resembled a dolphin in many of its features, and that it was probably brought over by warm sea current. But it has yet to be explained how the animal grew fur. Local residents are still telling tales about the Sakhalin Monster. Number 4. East River Monster. If you had walked beneath the Brooklyn Bridge on July 25, 2012, you would have seen a carcass of something that resembled a bloated pig, semi-roasted and left to rot. Not a pretty sight. Walkers by didn't know what to make of it. It looked both scary and sad at the same time. You could feel sorry for the thing, yet be disgusted at the sight of it. Soon several pictures were taken and animal experts were notified of the strange find, but still nobody knew what the creature was, although it did resemble a pig. There was a problem. Its tail was too long for that of a pig, and it had claws instead of hooves. In the end, it wasn't clear what was stranded that day near the Brooklyn Bridge. It could have been some large rodent judging by its look and features, but apparently no one bothered to look into the matter deep enough to find some solid proof. In a big city, there's little care given to carcasses of dead animals washed under a bridge. Number 3. Rock Ness Monster. Okay, by now you've probably heard of the infamous Loch Ness Monster, but what about the Rock Ness Monster? Well, maybe it's not that scary, but it will sure run chills up your spine. Washed ashore Littleborough Lake near Manchester, a scary-looking creature was found lying in the mud. It didn't seem to be moving, but it was frightening nonetheless. Some would say that the creature resembled a giant pike, but it was too scary to be only that. Many people who came across the area and saw the dead beast could swear that it looked like a prehistoric animal, something straight out of Jurassic World. The teeth were still there and the size was enormous. It was the most frightening thing they'd ever seen. However, animal experts claim that the Rock Ness Monster was indeed a pike, as this species of fish can grow quite large. According to them, it's not that strange at all, but the people in the area still avoid this place like the plague, fearing that there might be something more out there. Number 2. New Zealand Sea Monster. In 2013, a scary-looking carcass of a decomposing animal was found on a beach in New Zealand, half buried in the sand, and it was pretty long, around 32 feet. The carcass was found by accident. Some beachgoers came across it and immediately decided to make a video and post it on YouTube, asking people to comment if they knew what the strange beast was. One thing was clear, it looked terrifying. Needless to say, the comment section exploded. People wrote all kinds of answers, from a giant eel to saltwater crocodiles and more. Practically everyone had an idea of the strange beast that washed ashore and buried itself in the sand. But once a marine expert decided to dig deeper into the matter, it turned out that the beast was most likely what was left of a killer whale. Of course, it's always a whale. However, the mystery of the New Zealand whale didn't end there, because it wasn't clear how the animal died or how it came to be buried in such a way in that precise location. The work of Mother Nature or something else? Number 1. Montauk Monster. Judging by the very photograph of this thing, this is probably the strangest looking creature to ever wash ashore. It was found in July 2008, lying still on a beach in Montauk, New York, hence its name. What happened was this. 3 young girls were walking down the beach when they saw a strange thing laying in the sand in front of them. It was already the age of good old cell phones and cameras, so one of them immediately took a picture of the bizarre looking carcass. What perplexed them was the fact that they simply couldn't tell what the creature was. It resembled several species of animals, yet none of them entirely. It could have been a turtle without the shell, a burnt dog, a skinned coyote, or some kind of rodent. Many people thought that the carcass belonged to a scientific mutant experiment gone wrong. Among the many theories surrounding the Montauk Monster, scientists claim that, judging by its skeleton and bodily shape, the creature was in fact a raccoon. According to this explanation, the seawater helped the body decompose, which is why some of the animal's flesh was missing, including the almost complete loss of its hair. To this day, many still disagree on the real origin of the Montauk Monster. What do you think lies in the unknown parts of the ocean? Let us know in the comments below and take care.